If you've been wanting to use your own data with tools like ChatGPT or other large language models, this video will help you get started. Hey, I'm Shanif. I am the founder of Locusive. We help companies integrate their data with tools like ChatGPT and other generative AI tools so that they can easily create things like search bots or chatbots that are trained on their own data. And so we've got a lot of experience building integrations and figuring out how to use company data to get integrated with tools like ChatGPT. Now, before we jump into how, let's talk about the why. When you start to integrate your company data with large language models or generative AI, you can create some really hyper-personalized applications that are specific to your business. So for example, you can have a search bot or a search engine on your website that's trained on your data and makes it really easy for your customers or your visitors to find the information they need. Or you can have a customer support bot that ties into your user profiles or your databases and can actually take action and help customers help themselves. You can even do things like transform large database or a data set using tools like ChatGPT to categorize things and build dashboards. So there's a lot of great reasons to use your company data with these large language models, but it's not always easy to know how to get started. In fact, there's usually around only 3 ways that you can really start to incorporate your business data with a large language model. And we'll go over those now. The 3 options are training your own large language model from scratch, fine-tuning a model, or using something called Retrieval Augmented Generation. And we'll talk about that in a second. All right, so let's talk about the first option, which is really training a model from scratch. Now, most companies won't ever be able to do this. It's extremely pricey, millions, if not tens of millions of dollars, lots of hardware, lots of data scientists. You've got companies that are already doing this. Obviously, OpenAI has already done this. Anthropic has done this with Claude. Google is doing it. And so these companies are already taking care of the hard work of creating these large language models from scratch. Probably wouldn't make sense for you to do it yourself. So that leaves sort of 2 other options now. Now, the second option is called fine-tuning. And the idea behind fine-tuning is pretty simple, and it might sound like what you need. You'll take a large language model that already exists, something like ChatGPT, and then give it maybe a couple of hundred examples of your own data that it can learn from. An example is basically a sample prompt and then a sample answer that you would expect the large language model to learn. Now, in theory, this sounds great. If you can provide it enough data that it can learn from, it should be able to understand your information, and then you can start to use this for your own purposes. In practice, things are a little bit more dicey. These fine-tuned models tend to suffer from something called catastrophic learning. Basically, that just means that they forget what they've already learned, and they might not even learn your information. A lot of times, fine-tuning is better in theory than in practice. So what most companies end up going with is the third option, which is called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. RAG is pretty simple and straightforward. It's basically just the process of incorporating the right data and information from your company documents when you talk to ChatGPT. So for example, if you've got a chatbot that searches through your information, RAG will allow you to have a user type their question, and then it'll pull the right information from your documents at the right time, and then send those over to ChatGPT so that it can provide you with the right answer. So there's a lot of good ways that you can start to use large language models with your company data. But really the best way right now, unless you've got a really large engineering team and lots of resources, is to use Retrieval Augmented Generation. Now, that's great, but you actually still need an engineering team to be able to implement RAG from scratch. This might work well if you've got a large team and they're not already busy with all the other things that you want them to work on, but frequently that's not the case. So a lot of times you're probably going to be better off using an existing tool or product that does a lot of the hard work for you. For example, if you need to be able to plug in a large data set or a lot of documentation, you're going to need a way to get all that documentation into a database and then keep that database refreshed. You could do this yourself, or you could use a tool like the one that we've built at Locusive. There's a lot of other ones out there, but the idea is that tools like ours make it really easy for you to connect your source data, keep that data refreshed and up to date, make sure that the right people have the right access at the right time, and then make it easy to incorporate the right pieces of that data into a chat with ChatGPT. You can use these tools off the shelf without having to build them yourself, and that makes it really easy for you to start to incorporate your own company data with tools like ChatGPT. Now, in the case of Locusive, we've got 2 ways that you can use your company data. The first is a chatbot that plugs into your existing Slack workspace. It makes it easy for you to connect your existing tools and documents So things like maybe your website or your product documentation, but also maybe the Salesforce API that your company uses, or your Google Drive or your Google Docs. Makes it really easy for you to connect those and then chat with them within an existing Slack workspace. So this is really good for things like internal research or staying on the same page with your team, just making sure that everybody has the right information at the right time. And the second product that we provide is an API that makes it easy for you to insert your data, search for it, and query it, and also integrate it into a chat with something like Chat GPT. This way, if you want to build your own chatbot, but you don't want to hold or host your own services like a database or a vector database, you can just use an API like the one we have at Locusive to go in, insert your data, and then get it all back when you're ready to make a chat. So these are some of the ways that you can start to incorporate your own company data with tools like ChatGPT. Just to recap, there's 3 ways you can do it. One is called basically training your own model. The second is fine-tuning. The third one, which is what we recommend, is to use Retrieval Augmented Generation. You can build this yourself, or you can use tools like Locusive to create your own search bots and chatbots. So if you want to get started, we actually offer our products for free right now. You can just go on to locusive.com and get started from there. We're also happy to help if you have any questions. So if you've got anything about, hey, I want to learn about how this could be used for my business, or I want to be able to understand how this stuff works a little bit better, please feel free to reach out to us. You can contact me directly. I'm Shanif at locusive.com, or just go onto our website and sign up for our contact form. Somebody will get back to you shortly. So hopefully that's enough to get you up and running. If you're excited to be able to use your own company data with ChatGPT right away, just go ahead and get started for free at locusive.com, or feel free to contact us. All right, that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for tuning in. I will stay in touch, and we'll be continuing to produce these videos as time goes on. In case you have any questions, just hit subscribe or like on the YouTube video below. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.